In the cold winter of 1941, Athens seemed like a city breathing fear instead of air. The sky was as gray as the hearts of the soldiers marching to its gates, and the wind blowing off the Ionian Sea carried with it the sound of approaching tragedies. In the ancient alleys, between the columns of the Parthenon, which bore witness to unforgettable glories, the smell of terror and stale bread hung heavy. In a neighborhood near Monastiraki Square, Eleni stood behind the window of her narrow house, watching the streets become a stage for the invaders. German tanks slowly advanced, their iron wheels pounding the ground as if they were pounding through the very heart of Athens. Nazi soldiers waved their black flags, and passers-by lowered their heads, fearing that a single glance might drag them into the unknown. Her father, Nicholas, was a retired history teacher. That night, he said to her in a hoarse voice, "I've seen a lot in my life, Eleni, but I've never seen our city bowed down to anyone. Even the Turks, when they left us with a certain stubbornness. But these, they steal even the shadows." Resistance was born in the darkness, like a wildflower splitting stone, in the cellars of ancient churches and in cafes that seemed lifeless to the invaders. Young men exchanged letters and small amounts of ammunition. Eleni's older brother, Andreas, had joined them. Every night, Andreas returned in dirty clothes, his hands trembling from the cold and secrecy, his eyes shining with something resembling hope. One night, he brought news like coals. "Tomorrow, they'll hang a young man from our neighborhood in the square." They said he tore down a Nazi poster. Silence fell. Even the wind outside the house stopped, as if listening. The next morning came heavy. The people gathered in the square, which was accustomed to festive dances and the sound of guitars. The German soldiers stood in their shiny helmets, their eyes as solid as stone. The young man climbed onto the gallows, his face pale but lifted. He whispered something that only the wind could hear, and then his small body fell like a plucked flower. At that moment, Eleni felt that Athens was no longer just a city, but a bleeding heart before her. Months passed, and the hunger intensified until bread became a dream. People fell in the streets, not from soldiers' bullets, but from the betrayal of their empty stomachs. Nevertheless, secret messages passed between houses, written on small slips hidden in dry loaves of bread. Sometimes Eleni herself carried them, feeling her heart pound like ancient drums whenever she passed a German soldier. In the spring of 1944, as rumors of the German withdrawal began to spread like a warm breeze, Eleni stood on the hill near the Acropolis. She saw the city that had resisted with silence, hunger, and blood. She knew that Athens would rise from the ashes as it had before, and that every cry of pain and every starving body would become a stone in the wall of her coming freedom. That day, Eleni didn't cry. She simply raised her head toward the gray sky beginning to open to spring and whispered to her city, "We survived, Athens, even if we lost everything else."